What is up, guys? Now, I know I'm just finally getting to this, but I'm about to review the sequel. Which, yes, if you're wondering where that's from, I have Rambo 3 in because I'm about to watch it after I record this, but Rambo First Blood Part 2. Where to start with how amazing this is? Like, you got... I call this an action classic, that's all I can say. Because basically what the gist is about is you see, after the events of the first film, Rambo gets locked up and is in prison. Then Richard Crenna comes in, tells him about the mission. He's like, John, you can't honestly enjoy this hellhole. Then Rambo goes, I've seen worse. And you know it's going to be badass whenever he says, do you choose... When he gives the mission, he's like, do you choose to accept? And then after he does that, it goes through the credits and it shows Rambo First Blood Part 2 in flames. Yes, in flames. Let me just fix that right there. But what it starts out with is Rambo gets flown there, and then he gets to the unit and he sees Martin Cove from the Karate Kid playing another dick, as Rambo Radford Life would say. And then he gets in, sees Charles Napier. Sorry, I didn't add by there, but sees Charles Napier. He tells him about the mission, and he tells him he's a part of a unit which never existed. And then Rambo gets pulled into the parachute. Not parachute, plane. And then gets flown out to the area. Which, this scene is where it's about to get interesting, is where he's right here, he's about to jump out, but then the cords get tangled. So he's like this, then he grabs out his knife and starts cutting it, and they go, he's cutting away his rope! Then he flies down, parachutes down, then he's in the area. Then a snake right here comes down and he grabs it like that, and then sets it back down. And then you get introduced to the chick, which I forget her name, but I'm gonna look it up real quick. Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith music in the background. But no, the chick who's played by, yeah, that's right, Julia Nixon. And she's there, and she's like, you did not expect a woman, huh? And then they go off, tells about the mission, then they get on the boat. Then he talks about the events of the first film, why he's here, and then he's like, tells her, and then she talks about what she's about, like, I want to live in America, live the quiet life, you know? Which, we can all relate to that, you know? Granted, I live in the United States, I don't know if anyone watching this lives overseas can agree, but we can all relate to that, wanting to have the quiet life. Then they go to the place where the Americans are being captured in. I got some in my eye. But they get to the place because in the beginning, the Charles Napier told them, okay, only take pictures, don't take anyone up. But then Rambo decides not to listen, rescues a guy, and he tells him, don't talk, I'm here to rescue you. Then he rescues him because he's like, fuck this, I'm not listening. This is bullshit, I'm rescuing them. They don't deserve to be captured. But then he rescues him. And the action gets great because you see him have these knives that he puts around his fingers, which they come into play later. And you see C4 tipped explosive arrows, which you see in that film right here. Which, yeah, I got a poster up. But you see him with C4 tipped explosive arrows, which would have been cool if Rambo 4 had. But to me, that film's a step down, which I'll get to in the review. But he uses those a lot, and then he kills one guy, and then he sees Julia Nixon, and the guy's about to shoot her, and then gets him in the forehead, and then lands on the tree. It's crazy. And then they almost get detected. One of the guys turns on the searchlight, then shoots an arrow up there, kills him, and then they leave. And then they hop back on the boat, but they don't know this yet, but the guy sold them out. basically they're waiting for the other boat, and then one guy's holding Rambo up with the shotgun, and then he gets slapped, and then Julian Nixon gets slapped, and then he goes turns him around while the guy shoots him and starts shooting him with the shotgun, which is badass. Boom, boom. Then Julian Nixon fires the AK. Guy falls in the water. Then there's another boat. They get Julian Nixon and the guy that he rescued basically get off the boat. Then he grabs a rocket launcher and then shoots the other boat, practically, I might add, and then just jumps off, which is badass. But yeah, that's what I mean though. The action scenes in this film are great. Which yes, I have part of this set, which is a great set, but I'll continue after I'm done with the movie review. But then they leave. Julian Nixon and him split up, and then there's a bunch of soldiers coming to kill him. And then the helicopter comes to pick them up, but then when they find out he brought back someone when he wasn't supposed to, they decide they can't. Charles Napier tells him, okay, cancel the mission. Okay, sorry about that. Tells him, cancel the mission. 1 second, guys. Okay, there we go. Tells him, cancel the mission. Then they leave, and then Rambo gets captured. And so does the prisoner, which, in this scene, you really feel for Rambo, like he's dumped in a bunch of water, which has mud, leeches, and then he's just laying down like this, and he's hung up, just in underwear and nothing else. Then you see the bad guys come in, played by Stephen Burkoff, who's also the bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop. Because if you guys don't know, that Beverly Hills Cop was actually supposed to be a Stallone film at first, but then that didn't happen because they had gotten Eddie Murphy on that. That was one of the things that was left of it, was Stephen Burkoff, which for Presence he plays a really good bad guy. Like he's like, wants to get information. I don't know your name. I forget what he says exactly, but gets information. They hook him up to a thing, and then they keep asking for info, and every time he doesn't say it, they shock him. And then he's like, you're quite strong and powerful. You wish to test your strength? And then he brings in one of the prisoners. It's like, if your life needs nothing to you, maybe his does. Then he wants him to go on the radio and say some stuff. Then Julian Nixon comes in, dressed as a random chick, and then sneaks into like a door and then kills a guy. But it was off screen, but you see the body as she walks out, and she takes a gun. And then she goes to the place where Rambo's at, hides under the floorboards, and he had that badass scene I'll always remember. But then he's like, say this stuff, and then he does it. He's like, do it. And then the prisoner's like, don't do it. And then Stephen Burkoff's like, do it now. And you see him like, okay, pretend this is the mic. See him grab it like this, and he's like, Murdoch. Yes, Rambo. I'm coming to get you. Then hits Stephen Burkoff, hits the other guy. Then Julian Nixon shoots the other Vietnam soldier that comes in, and then hits this big muscle buff dude into the electric thing, then turns it up all the way, and then they leave. And this scene that's coming up, Rambo has shit luck, that's for sure. Then they shoot him, and then they kiss, and they just say, which this scene makes me feel for Rambo, where he's like, you know what you did back there, I'll never forget it. Always made me smile. Then they leave, they kiss, and then they come out, and then Julian Nixon gets shot, which right after they kiss, he gets shot. She gets shot. And it's like, wow, Rambo has bad luck. And then it gets great. He gets out, shoots him with an AK. Like as they were running out, he killed a bunch of guys, stabbed a guy like this, and then took his gun. And then after Julian Nixon got killed, he's just there shooting all the guys. And this is where it gets badass. Like Jerry Goldsmith's music building up. He even makes tying shoes and tying a headband badass. And then There's one thing also I'm gonna say though is Rambo. I'm gonna mention this in Rambo 3 more, but I don't get how like in Rambo 3 you can complain the bad guys are Russian, but yet the villains in here are Russian and Vietnamese. I never understood that, but anyways. He kills all the guys, shoots them with an arrow. Then it gets to a scene where the Vietnamese, they're all following him, and then he lures them into like a field. Sorry, I got an itch there. Lures them to a field, pours some gasoline, and then they're like, I don't know what exactly they said, but then he lights a match, burns all of them, then gets up the C4 tipped explosive arrows, shoots like the hut, then shoots the trucks, and it's crazy. Then next thing you know is that he ends up that he's on the waterfall, a guy's shooting at him, then he aims his arrow, and then the guy's running, and then shoots it right inside of him, blows the fucker up. That's how you can tell it's R-rated. And then next thing you know, you see the helicopter come, they're trying to look for him, then they get down to the water, like the guy on the gun shoots him, well tries to, but then he misses. So then Rambo pulls him into the water, gets in, then fights the big muscle buff dude for murder, then throws him out of the helicopter, then throws the pilot out. And here's the next scene where it's pretty action-packed here, where he lands it, and then Rambo picks up an M60, kills all the guys there, and unleashes his rage. It's crazy. And then he rescues the prisoners, has them all get in the helicopter. One actually got shot from behind, and he shoots the Russian soldier again. And then after that, they're flying back. Then another helicopter's in it, and Steven Berkoff's in it. But then he's trying to shoot him, trying to take him down. And then he decides. They shoot him a bit. Then the helicopter almost goes down. Then they're in the water. Rambo pretends to be dead, like he's like this. And then whenever Steven Berkoff comes, he goes, boom! Practically, too. Always like that. And then after that, he even had one of the guys shooting there. And what was also cool and interesting in the beginning to show how long these people were captured. One guy's like, what year is it? Then Rambo's like, 1985. Excuse me. And then after that, he radios in, tells him he got the captured prisoners, then gets back, and pulls out the M60, goes up to Martin Cove, and Martin Cove goes, lad, you can make it! And kicks him in the balls, hits him with his elbow while holding the M60, then gets into the place, shoots up everything to show that he's pissed, then grabs Charles Napier, doesn't actually kill him, he's like, you know there are more Americans captured, now find them, then goes, and then stabs his knife into the wood. You think he's gonna kill him, like he does it to scare him. And then you get to the ending where Richard Crenna comes out, and also there's that also scene where Richard Crenna comes on the helicopter, but then he tries to radio, and then one of the guys puts a gun up to him. But then at this ending, yes, he talks about, Rambo, you know what you are. You can't hide from your past. What is it you want? He's like, I want our country to love us as much as we love it. Which is, it's a really true thing for vets, because what more can I say about this film though? Let me pull it out real quick. This film right here was such badass. Yeah, badass action. Badass practical. Great bad guy. What more can I say? And it's also directed by George P. Cosmatos, which also directed that film right there, if you want to believe that, at least. And same for this film, if you want to believe that, because a lot of people say he's a ghost director. Whether you can believe it or not, he actually did it. He must have had some hand in it. But anyways, I'm going to be rambling too long. In the next review, you're going to see me review this film, which, yes, I think it's underrated. I don't give a fuck if the bad guys are Russian. Yes, it's underrated. Now I'm going to go over why when in the review. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And after Rambo 4, I'm going to rate my top 10. Or, I mean, not top 10. Rate my top 4. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this review. And I hope you guys are looking forward to more of the Rambo reviews and Ninja Turtle reviews. So, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.